Hey everyone, and welcome back to the SCREENY. The Pawn Stars are always offered antique items on their show, but usually most of these items end up being fake or worth barely anything. However, when it comes to the world of gaming, antique video game collections are actually very valuable and are seen as an artwork rather than just a piece of technology. Throughout its years, Pawn Stars has seen some pretty incredible gaming collections you must see. So stay tuned for the 7 most rare gaming collections on Pawn Stars. Number 7. Original Donkey Kong Arcade. No matter what age you are, I'm sure you know of Donkey Kong. Whether it be from the Donkey Kong series or the Mario series, you have definitely seen this video game character before. Despite appearing in modern Mario games, Donkey Kong has been around since the early 80s. Its first release was almost 40 years ago. In result of this, there are rare Donkey Kong gaming collections across the world that are now vintage and considered expensive collector items. An ordinary day at the pawn shop all changed when Corey and Chumlee received a call to check out an original Donkey Kong arcade system. The man selling the system wanted $2,500. This seems like a pretty good deal, except there's only one issue. The arcade system has a programming glitch, causing the game to have no official ending. Corey and Chumlee knew this was going to affect pricing, so they decided to call an expert to take a detailed look at the machine's condition. The expert says it's definitely an original piece, but isn't worth the price the man was looking for.
You wanted $2,500. On a good day, retail is going to be $800. I mean, I can offer you $300 for it.
When Corey offers a lower price, the man decides to keep it for himself and to try and sell it to someone else.
The offer is way lower than I thought. So, I get to keep the Donkey Kong game and, better luck next time.
Despite Chumlee and Corey not going through with the purchase, there's no doubt this is one of the coolest vintage gaming systems seen on the show. Number 6. Nintendo Game & Watch Collection. Would you look at that? Another Nintendo system. Except this time, instead of a giant vintage arcade system, it's a bunch of small portable Nintendo Game & Watches. For those who don't know, Game & Watch series are handheld electronic games produced by Nintendo during the 80s. To put it simply, they're pretty much the Game Boys and DS's of the previous generation. This Game & Watch collection came with a bunch of different games that were released before Game & Watch was even a thing.
These games came out before the actual Nintendo system.
That's pretty much how they got the money to finance actually making the system, was selling stuff like this.
The woman who was selling the collection claims she spent a lot of money to buy this stuff when it was first released, but Corey was still hesitant on paying her desired price of $500. Corey offered her $150 for the rare collection, but she politely rejected, saying that $400 is the max price she'll sell for. But as he always does, Corey managed to convince her to sell to the collection for just $250. Corey then went on to say that it was a pretty good purchase, considering he knows he can sell each singular Game & Watch series for $100 or more.
Chumlee will play any video game. It doesn't matter how outdated or stupid it is. But these are actually pretty cool.
Number 5. 1980s Japanese Arcade Collection. This is probably the most unique gaming collection on this list. Not because of its gaming system, but instead the games itself. Despite not being mainstream anymore, the 3 featured games, Dig Dug, Super Dodgeball, and Yi Kung Fu, were all massive hits back in the day. For those who don't know, Japanese arcade games of this prominence are super expensive and have a pretty high command in regards to collectors who would like to buy them. These 1980s arcades are definitely worth thousands of dollars. But as always, Corey tries his hardest to get the best deal and actually lies to the man selling the machines in order to get him to drop the price.
There's not that many people that actually collect them. I'd give you like $400 for all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's way out of the ballpark.
This episode actually received some pretty noisy backlash, considering the man dropped the price from $4,500 to $600. The viewers of the program saw straight through Corey's lies and felt bad for the seller. But hey, that's the art of closing a deal, right?
I settled on $600. It's a little frustrating. I definitely am not going to take payment in the form of video games ever again.
It's safe to say this is one of the coolest vintage pieces seen on the show. Number 4. VECTREX Video Game System 80s. Here's another set of classic video games that made it into the pawn shop for a potential purchase. At the start of Season 13, a man walked into the pawn shop with a VECTREX video game system from the 1980s. A VECTREX is a video game console that was revolutionary at the time, considering it uses its own monitor instead of being connected to a television set. It also came with its own detachable control pad. And to top it all off, some games came with 3D goggles. You have to admit, for a console released 35 years ago, this is pretty incredible. Anyways, Chumlee wasn't sure how much it'd sell for, so he got a professional to assess the system's worth.
In this condition, you could easily, on a retail price, you could pull maybe in the $250, $275 range.
Although the man offered a great deal of just $200 for the system, Chumlee still wanted it cheaper. This is because the man didn't have all the additional equipment and accessories to experience the VECTREX at full throttle. Due to this, the man ended up settling for $150.
$150 was on the low side, but considering I didn't have accessories for it, I thought it was fair.
I'm pretty sure we all know once Chumlee gets his hands on the additional accessories, he's going to make a ton of profit off this rare piece. Number 3. Earliest Super Mario game. No matter who you are or where you come from, you have definitely played a game from the Mario series before. Whether it be a form of Mario Kart, Super Mario Bros., Mario Party, I mean, come on, the list just goes on. Now, the reason I preface this is because during late November of 2019, a man walked into the pawn shop with the original Super Mario game. And you better listen up because things get pretty mind-blowing regarding the item's worth.
But I would sell it for $1 million.
$1 million?
Yep.
Yeah, you heard that right. $1 million. Rick Harrison was unsure of its true worth and decided to call up the company who certifies whether these are real or not to see their opinion on its pricing. The professional assessed the item and confirmed it to not only be real, but he always let Rick Harrison in on why the item is so expensive. One reason was that this vintage video game piece was purchased years before Nintendo was even an official company. At the time, no one knew who of Nintendo.
From the test market launch of the NES, which was only in 1985 and 1986. No one even knew who Nintendo was. But back then, they were just another company.
This is the earliest print of Super Mario Bros. To still exist, let alone to still be in its original seal. The professional left Rick Harrison speechless, and after presenting him all the facts, Rick was deeply interested in this product. Despite his interest, Rick knew spending $1 million on something he wasn't educated in was just too risky, and had to decline this offer. There's no doubt this is the rarest gaming collection that'll ever step foot in the pawn shop. Number 2. MAGNAVOX Odyssey 200. This is the oldest piece on the list, considering it was originally bought in 1975. The man selling it says he bought the game system when he was in his early 20s.
I used to have my friends come over to the house. We'd have a few beers and get crazy with the Odyssey here.
Anyway, let me elaborate on what exactly the MAGNAVOX Odyssey 200 is. Originally released in 1975, the Odyssey 200 was a video game console built specifically for multiplayer games, as most of its advertising had portrayed a group of people all playing together. Despite being a historical console, Corey wasn't too interested, and joked around when the man presented him with an offer.
I'd like to get $350.
Like $3.50?
Oh, gee.
Although the two men didn't move forward with the deal, the MAGNAVOX Odyssey 200 is still definitely one of the rarest collector's items to step foot in the pawn shop when it comes to gaming. Number 1. PACMAN arcade game. Similar to the Mario series, I'm sure you all know of PACMAN. You might have played a third-party version of PACMAN on your computer or mobile phone, but I bet you've never seen it on a 30-year-old arcade table. Yes, you heard me correctly, an arcade table. This system was presented to Corey and Chumlee outside the pawn shop when a man offered it for just $200. The reasons for this cheap pricing for such a vintage piece is because of its condition. The man stated it's his hobby to fix up old technology for potential profits, but he just couldn't repair this arcade system. He thought maybe Corey or Chumlee could find someone to repair it and sell it for more profit. Corey wasn't interested in purchasing the product at all. Luckily, Chumlee kept nagging Corey to buy the table, and Corey closed the deal for $175. Once they made the final exchange, Corey said to Chumlee, "You're in charge of getting this thing working."
All right, man, I'll do it for $175. You're gonna be in charge of getting this thing put back together, though.
Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos on your favorite TV shows, and tap one of the 2 videos on screen for another amazing video.